And it's my great pleasure to introduce to you John Potrebbe, who's the Executive Vice President and Chief Digital Officer at Nellymoser. And John is one of the biggest supporters of the ACT experience. And I owe a lot to him in promoting the program and promoting the ACT experience anywhere he speaks or talks, and it's a privilege that we have him here today with us. John's company was acquired by Brown, and then Brown was acquired by Quad Graphic. So I'm very thankful for John and Quad Graphic for supporting this event. John, the floor is yours.
Thanks. I'm excited to be back for a second year. I'm going to pick up a little bit. Michael Clinton did such a good job the other night introducing a lot of aspects of publishing and showed a lot of examples of how, I think what he called it, liquid paper. So I'm going to really focus on, there's been a lot of discussion about print and digital, like how to make things for tablets and mobile and how to make things for print. And I'm literally going to talk about interacting with print using your phone. And so this whole area of companion viewing, you know, second screen viewing, like using your phone while you watch TV, either through Twitter or so forth, and literally in the magazine space for the past couple of years, we've seen this huge growth of being able to use your phone to interact with print media. And so we track data on this, and we also implement a number of campaigns. But I'm going to show a really short, kind of underwhelming video just to make it absolutely clear what we mean by this. So let me just show this. So when we mean, a lot of you are probably familiar with QR codes. You can scan a QR code, but literally with print now, you can use your phone and actually just recognize the images themselves to trigger content. So literally you can take something like a comics section and open it up, and your phone can be cued to recognize content on it. And so it recognizes it right away, and you can trigger it to tie to any interactive content. So a lot of the stuff I'm going to show you is literally all about how to use your phone to interact with magazines. So those of you that hadn't done that, I wanted to at least set the stage, if you will. So I'm going to jump right into some examples from the September issues. Here's People's Style Watch. And so I'm going to first start off with some examples, then I'll take a step back and give some data, talk a little bit about augmented reality and some of the other trends in interactive print, and then end up a little bit in the retail space because this is all part of what people are calling omni-channel experiences. So this is just September, and so what People's Style Watch did, you have a QR code right in the middle. And there's a long debate. You know, a bunch of people declared QR codes dead a couple years ago. They continue to be on the rise. If you travel, they're used to check in places. They're used to pay for things. They've really taken off in China. We have this dance in the US. A lot of things like text messaging and a lot of the early phone data plans started off overseas in Asia. And then US trailed by a couple years. Then with the app space and the iPhone, we kind of led things. And then now you're seeing a lot of this activation stuff kind of being taken off a little bit more overseas. But anyways, you scan a QR code, and you then take a little quiz to answer some questions about yourself, and you then get paired who you're going to be, your celebrity style twin, and then that's matched with a bunch of shoppable products. And this is a very successful interactive integrated marketing program that the Style Watch marketing team sold, and a bunch of advertisers then paid for placement in all this product stuff. So again, QR-based, very successful. Marie Claire and Esquire have actually gone so far as every page in Marie Claire is now activated. So every month they have a branded companion app. It's a very simple app. It has a scanning button in it. It has an integrated Instagram feed into the app, and it has a video highlight. And so it's really literally meant not as a standalone product, but something to do to interact with at their conferences and events, as well as at their every page of the magazine. So they did an editorial feature called Shop the Shoot. And it's kind of interesting. They used to cue the reader a traditional old barcode to tell you that it's scannable, but actually you just recognize the whole page, and it tells you to tap here to shop the shoot, and then you get the shoppable item from that page. Here's another example from that. This next one, I'm going to apologize for vegetarians in the room. It's a little funky, but it's an amazing shot. So Cooking Light, every image in Cooking Light is watermarked. And so a watermark is another way. Image recognition is a way where you use the unique patterns. It's kind of like Siri for images. But watermarks you can actually embed imperceptible patterns into the images and tie them to URLs. And this is very successful. So early on, a lot of the content that people did in magazines just linked to the websites, and it didn't get a lot of scans and activations. These get hundreds of thousands of activations per month. Every recipe, you scan it, it goes to a recipe, and you can turn it into a shopping list. And so as you see more utilitarian content, especially in the cooking space, it's very effective. Another approach, here's House Beautiful, and again, Michael Clinton showed this the other night. They also have a branded app with a built-in scanner. A number of their images are watermarked. So he showed this custom piece in the beginning where you have an actual envelope and you can pull out cards. But what he didn't show is all those images and the cards are watermarked. And so you can grab the color off the image with your phone and use it to do color matching on your walls. And so again, you're lifting color out of the magazine and using mobile. And mobile is very successful in this kind of space where you want to try it on and visualize things. Women's Day has been using kind of interactive print techniques for a number of years. Rather than having a QR code, they actually designed a branded icon, and that branded icon is watermarked. And so unlike image recognition with watermarks, you can take identical images, brand logos, and make them go to different destinations. And so they give a little different iconography here so you can say what's a shoppable, what's a scan to win, and so forth. So here at the bottom feature, you scan this at the bottom, and you get a recipe, and you can add it to your list. So I'm going to step back now and talk a little bit about this, put some data behind this. So we've been tracking for the past 3 years the number of mobile calls to action in the top 100 consumer magazines. I know there was some conversation after the Michael Clinton talk that, only Hearst can afford to do this stuff. Everything I'm showing you is very inexpensive to do. You can get a lot of this stuff for free. Watermarks cost $25 or less. Image recognition costs $50 or less. So I'm happy to talk about afterwards, any publishers and stuff in the room, that a lot of this stuff you can do yourself. It just takes a commitment, and you have to educate the reader. Most of it is all about the print layout. And I think one of the things that is a theme for me is that print still is the vehicle for branding, generating the interest, and mobile is the vehicle for turning interest into action. And so your phone as a companion is a vehicle to capture something off the page, share it, shop it, and so forth. So anyways, we've been tracking this data. So any kind of call to action, it's mobile. It's a QR code. If it's image recognition, it's a watermark. We keep a big database of this. And so I literally pay people to come to the office, flip through magazines, scan everything, and type it into a database. And they kill it at trivia night. So after they've read every top 100 magazine, they've become experts on a whole bunch of topics. But basically, this is the last 2 years, 2013, 2012. You can see every month the number of unique codes has gone up. There were about, 2013, there were about 130,000 unique pages in the top 100 magazines. So it's jumped, so about 10%, so 1 in every 10 pages has some type of mobile call to action on it in the top 100 magazines. Editorial has really taken off. The ability now to just activate every page. You see from 2012 to 2013, there's been a 246% increase in editorial programs. There's a whole range of experiences. So after you scan, the post-scan experience or the activated content, videos, social media, sweepstakes, ability to purchase, a bunch of opt-in stuff, and different types of coupons. In terms of segments, fashion and style, still the leaders in this category. But you're starting to see more in the home and cooking. I think that'll grow. That'll be the fastest growing segment after this year. And then finally, the technologies. 2012, 70% of the activations were QR codes. They've now shifted to 60% being image recognition. These reports are online. We don't sell our data. We provide it, so you feel free if you want more information on this. It's all online. So I'm now going to talk a little bit about augmented reality. Michael Clinton started off by saying it was kind of dead on arrival, and I agree with him. It's a little bit of a circus act. So what augmented reality is the ability to project content onto a surface or a location. It has a ton of promise, and I'm going to show you some interesting stuff that's being done in the magazines, but I think at the outset, everyone thought it was just going to totally transform print, kind of like everyone thought the digital editions and iPads would transform publishing. It has its place, and you'll see that it's being used by a lot of people. So this is kind of the typical, the augmented reality that people really think's neat is when you project 3D objects onto print. And it works really well, and it's a fascinating experience, but it's very costly to build CGI models of 3D objects, and traditional publishing staff don't have this kind of capability. But you can take, if you go into Lego stores, you can hold up the Lego boxes to cameras, and it'll project the completed Lego set onto the box. And Lego's done a lot of this, so you can hold stuff and do some really interesting things. You can, here's another example of, for an interactive ski guide, so you can hold it up and see a 3D version of the mountain trail map. But there's a lot of simple things you can do. This is an ad we did for Fidelity for the New Yorker. You just hold your phone over it, and it can fill in the crossword puzzle. And so I think you're going to see a lot of stuff that happened in newspaper being really revitalized, where you can make the comics interactive, where you can make all your puzzles have your clues and information right there. And again, your phone's with you. You're just using it to browse the world, just like we used to use, or we still use the browser to kind of browse the virtual world. You're going to see an increased thing being pushed by retailers, where we're using our phone to browse the physical world around us. Making things pinnable is very easy. This is, again, augmented reality, but it's not this fancy 3D technologies. You're simply applying button overlays, so you hold the phone over the page and you can make everything pinnable. Being able to have different backgrounds. So again, the try-it-on space, I think, and the recipe stuff is the kind of the first wave where you're seeing a lot of activity. Esquire, as I mentioned before, every page is activated in Esquire. We did something different for Esquire. They had used NetPage for a while, which is an augmented reality technology. And a lot of the technologies in augmented reality require to hold your phone over a page. And so we call it hold and hover. And it's not a great user experience to kind of hold your phone up and kind of try to get it right. And so for Esquire, what we did was called grab and go technology. So we really use the image recognition. Oops, sorry, let me go back one. And so every page, you can just grab the page, and on the right, you say, okay, I'm on page 24. I can share the page, I can save it to my photo gallery, and then I have hotspots on it, so I can interact with it, but I don't have to sit and hold it over the magazine. So you just grab the page and then can take the content. And so what it allows you to do is go from, again, the inspiration is coming off the printed page, but once you grab it, you can then shop it or read an article in a mobile optimized format. And so you're going to see a blurring of digital editions. I mean, basically, we're generating a digital parallel companion to this as a byproduct of this. So it's a different way. So a lot of times, rather than dog-earing something or taking pictures, if you talk to editors, like we work a lot with 17 Magazine, people take photos of it and then comment on it and then post it online. A lot of people would much rather have their actual original images posted, and so a lot of this allows you to take the content as you want it to be shared or shopped and so forth. And then the last example I'll show you on augmented reality, and I'm going to talk a little bit about retail. So 17 Magazine has been doing this for a while, and 17 is a great example. They again have a branded app. We've swapped out technology, and the end reader does not care at all. We went from Watermarks, and then the paper quality. Someone in one of the finance offices must have convinced them you need to use lower quality paper. So they went to this paper, and when you put watermarks on it, you could actually see it through the page. So we switched them to image recognition technology, and it got as many activations as ever. And so what they're doing is a lot of stuff. The first thing, and I showed this last year, the 17 was using print to unlock digital coupons. So you can show a locked coupon on your phone and then scan the page and it unlocks it. And here's an example of a promotional spread, again, promo page done by the integrated marketing group at 17, where the items featured in here, when you hold the phone over them, you can get additional content for them. So when you click on any of the play buttons, you can watch videos. And again, the inspiration is coming off the page, and the content is directly tied in. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about retail, and I know that's strange. This is supposed to be a publishing event, but there's a method to the madness here. So Amazon got a lot of people a little freaked out here a couple months ago. They released this phone called the Fire Phone. No one bought it, so it never didn't do much in terms of the iPhone just clobbered it. But it really did usher in. So I think it is the event that kind of ushered in this idea of print being shoppable. And even though it's been around for a while, I think it's a seminal event. So to play around with this thing, I took a circular from Walmart, and you can literally hold the phone over either a physical product or the printed page, and it'll find it. So Amazon finds us that product, and then you can shop it right there. You can buy it right off the thing. And this in retail is called showrooming, going in, using your phone to scan a product in the store, and finding that ability to buy it. it started in the book space. A lot of people going in, looking in Barnes & Noble, and then using the phone to buy it on Amazon. The funny thing is here, it's still the bugs aren't quite worked out, because if you'll see their listed price here is $7.94, and Amazon tells me they can get it to me for $9.99. So it's not quite doing what they want, but it's close. But the exact day this came out, Target released an app, and they bought a media buy. They bought 10 ad pages, real simple. They bought them in Architectural Digest that allows you to use an app, and Target calls it In a Snap. And there was another announcement this week. Target just released 2 new mobile apps. So Target's going really head in on mobile. And they've done things for a while. Their catalogs have been activated for a while using QR codes. But now they're really going deep. And so you can actually shop the pages directly off using their app. And so this is a whole big change taking place in the publishing industry, where an advertiser could just place a media buy and then use that to be shoppable content. And as Michael Clinton mentioned, the goal is for the magazine to kind of control that experience and be able to get an affiliate fee or something as part of the process. Here's another example. And again, it works very well, so I encourage you, it's a free app. All these apps are free. You grab it, and you can shop the pages. It's pretty effective. So the thing I'm kind of end with here is the whole concept of location. So just as augmented reality was kind of brought up as a trend, I think there's a wave that's been building up around location in mobile, and I'm going to explain why this is relevant to publishing in a second. But there's a lot of people saying that where you are is more important than who you are. And it's a little controversial, because all targeting and direct mail has been all about personas. But basically, and this is a quote from the chairman of Digitas and Razorfish, but basically, if you know where you are and where you've been, you can figure out basically the rest of the story. And this brings up, audience targeting versus location targeting. And as the travel companies here know, it's very different to say I like to travel versus I'm actually in the airport in Tokyo or I'm in Miami. And so location gives you that information. And so what's being used now in the mobile space are 2 things called geofencing and geoconquesting. So geofencing is you can now place maps. So if you want to promote to people, you can create maps, geographic maps around the country, and so that anytime someone is in that space, or if they visited the space and go home, and just check the weather, you can then serve a location-based ad based on where they've been. The geoconquesting is when you take someone, in this case you'll see it's Honda is geoconquesting based on Toyota car lots. And so they want people to go home. Anyone that's been in the geofence of a Toyota car lot, they want, when they go to check out the news or go to any mobile site, they're placing mobile buys based on the fact that they've been to Toyota, and they're going to give them a Honda ad. And so this type of stuff is very, very effective. And you can see a lot more of this as it goes on. So one of the areas that's also part of this location movement are these things called beacons. And so beacons are little Bluetooth devices, and they're little triggers. And they came about as part of this whole trend in Bluetooth being able to be smaller and faster and lighter and require less power. And so everyone that has fitness bands or Bluetooth headsets, it's a similar kind of thing. And so these little beacons you can actually place in places, and retailers are starting to place them throughout their stores. And it's like a barcode. All it does is transmit a number. It doesn't do anything magical. Your phone can listen to it, and then it can actually tell you some information. Mainly, it knows where you are and when you've been interacting with something. And so if you put this in a showroom, you can walk into the showroom, and again, you don't have to have your app out. You're not scanning anything. It can then push you a notification. So either while you're there or when you walk out, and it's a geo-based push notification, you then can get a deal to be promoted to them. So this sets us up for a kind of an omni-channel world. And in magazine, just one thing I'll say about the publishing space, what you can do is magazines have never been really able to attract national magazines have never been able to attract local advertising the way TV stations have. And there's now the ability to, when you scan something, you can actually get the location of where someone is and actually apply local content to them right there. So if someone scans something to call, you can have a lookup table for the nearest numbers. Or if you're doing product sampling for beauty ads, you can find the nearest place that sells that. Or if it's a restaurant, you can make a reservation right next door. And so basically, mobile has the ability, this used to be a funnel, but now people realize when people shop, it's a lot more complex. And basically, mobile is the first technology is actually with someone the first time they're exposed to a brand, And as they go through the whole purchase process, it's typically called a purchase funnel. As you consider things, you compare things, you buy things, and then you become a loyal enthusiast. You love it and you share it and so forth. Mobile connects that entire shopper's journey. And so you've seen brand circles, like from the Afar presentation earlier. You have all these brand touch points. Every magazine, as a media company, as a brand, have such a diverse set of touch points now. But mobile is really the connector. Too many people are thinking about mobile as a channel, and mobile is really a connector and an amplifier for traditional media. It's not a replacement. It's going to actually enhance it and augment it. And if you think about it, mobile, especially with the iPhone 6 announcement, mobile is transactional. You can purchase things. You can share things off of mobile. It gives you context, location, and it's persistence. And so when you get into a cross-media environment, you can activate. You have all these touch points. Sorry, I need to get that little image off the bottom. There we go. You have all these points of activation. TV, radio, print, and so forth. And there's a whole range of technologies, some of which I just shown, the QR codes, the image recognition, the beacons, geolocation, and one thing I didn't mention is audio watermarks. Just like with Shazam, where you can hold your phone up to the radio to recognize music and activate off of recognizing a song, you can actually embed imperceptible audio watermarks into radio. And so you can shop off of this. And we've done this with US Bank, where you can hold up the phone to the radio or TV and shop off of it. And so you're increasingly going to have, with your phone, the ability to activate across media. And what this lets is you get a very interesting kind of strategy. And I showed this last year, but basically, there's all these technologies now. And the problem is a lot of times people start with the technology and then they don't start with their business goal and they end up unhappy. So a lot of people say like, well, I just need to do some of these new beacons, or I need to do some augmented reality or QR codes. And they don't really take a step back and put it into a context that makes sense for their business goals. And so I'm going to show one last scenario here and wrap it up. So here's an example, REI. They have catalogs and emails and out-of-home signs and magazine ads and their in-store experience. And with mobile activation now, you can actually take their different brand touch points, and you can essentially, mobile allows you to apply contextual filters to things. So you know the time of day, where they are, and some other information. If you have login, a lot of the great thing about magazines is the profiles are so strong, you can actually have people log in, or you can use your device to recognize the person coming back. So you can actually pull up a lot of profile information, as Meredith mentioned earlier. But what you can do then is apply business logic to this. So many people just play the same ad to everybody. And I think during the conversation also about TV, how you're going to be able to get different TV ads based on watching the same show to different people. You're seeing this now in the retail space, and they're really all over it. So it's the ability, so that if I'm right here, down here, and I activate an REI ad, there's not an REI store right within 10 miles. So they want me to drive me online, or you want me to get to download the app. And if it's after hours and I happen to be right next to the store, you don't want to drive them to the store. And so being able to apply this type of different business logic, and for magazines, it could be the first thing you want to do is sign someone up. Oh, they're not on my list? The first most important thing is to get them on my list. Then you do other things. And so the whole excitement I think about mobile is you can apply now context to a national footprint and to leave a much kind of more personalized experience that is actually more lined up with the business goals. So I'm going to end with that. Happy to answer some questions. Oh, sorry, last thing, sorry. Just to show you what this looks like visually, traditional media planning is all traditionally zip code based. And so now what you can do is, when you plan a campaign, when people send things out, they do targeting based on locations. So either like your Sunday FSI inserts or direct mail. What mobile allows you to do then is figure out the activation landscape in that thing. So you can not only do your planning, but you can actually get the feedback from that process. And so it's going to really, I think location is going to be the next thing in publishing and advertising. And so I'll put that out there for people to discuss. So do we have a second for questions, or how are we doing?
In fact, I'm going to ask the first question. Let me raise my hand. Yeah, go ahead. How much danger do you see from that intimate knowledge of every step you take, every move you take, to our privacy as individuals, as human beings?
I think it goes back to our first keynote speaker of the event. It's about trust. And I think the brands that violate the trust, you see this online, people move off of things quickly. If they find out that someone's violated trust or privacy, they leave. Otherwise, as a consumer, I don't mind being better served ads. Giving up, it's a trade. You give up some information to get some information. And so, but yeah, I think, there's risks, but I think there's too much at stake for big media companies to just run rampant with this stuff. I mean, you heard Meredith, they're very cautious with their data. So even though this stuff is all possible, I think people are taking cautious steps when it comes to that. But I'm not that worried about it. I have lots of cookies and stuff on my phone, and no one's taking anything over, and I'm not, I haven't been hijacked or stolen or so forth.
Question. John answered all your questions.
I'll say one thing, though. From a revenue point of view, I wanted to mention this. What's not clear here or immediately apparent is that a lot of the things, when you use mobile to interact with print, from the advertising side, you're actually using mobile and social to sell print. The money is still all in print, as some other people have noted. So to monetize mobile in and of itself right now is really tough. I mean, even with all the real-time bidding systems and programmatic buying, the CPMs, the amount of money you pay per 1,000 impressions is so small. It's pennies, dimes, maybe some dollars. So when you use mobile to drive print ads, like when we do those multi-code sweepstakes or that people style watch, you're actually driving people, you're getting 10 to 20 advertisers to participate. And in a major magazine, that's $50,000 to $100,000 per page. And so you're using a mobile program, which has got the sex appeal and attractiveness from the digital agencies, but it's really using it to drive print. And so that's a lot of what's going on here that kind of wasn't said. Sorry, Bo.
John, your opening sentence was mentioning liquid paper. Do you feel you're in a position to address it all future substrates? I'm not,
but I'm not. But it's hot. I'll tell you. I was at some agencies recently. I mean, I'm being a little facetious. I can talk about some of that, but I was at an agency recently in Chicago, and a lot of magazine people see this kind of interactive print as kind of being around for a couple of years and not so exciting. The ad agencies are actually, and brands are pretty excited. They think interactive print is a hot term, and it's not just this activation technology and augmented reality, but it's the abilities to have there's a lot of things you can do now with inks to make things conductive and be able to transmit electricity and to have different, Michael Clinton mentioned it, right, with his fantasy about having his product samples and being able to project content and so forth on the page. So I can't answer your question.
Thank you very much, John.